Hi, and welcome to Moodle. Today we're going to focus on discussion boards. Now, sometimes called forums in Moodle, discussion boards are pretty common in social media and on news sites, so students are very familiar with the concept. Let's go over a couple do's for discussion boards. Discussion boards should be initiated by the instructor to cover key concepts or ideas within the curriculum. Also, these discussion boards will be asynchronous, meaning participants can leave responses to one another at different times during the week. And also, these should be generally casual in tone, although students should avoid web speech, such as LOL, etc. Now, here's a couple things you want to stay away from. You shouldn't make discussion boards long, drawn-out research-style assignments. That's going to be overwhelming for you and for all of the students having to sift through all of the posts. Secondly, these shouldn't be too formal, or the dialogue will become pretty stilted and not very spontaneous. Also, you as the instructor shouldn't ignore the discussion boards. In fact, students are more motivated when you are involved. And finally, you shouldn't count too much or too little on the overall grade. Maybe 20 to 30% is about right. Now let's cover some best practices. It is best practice to craft a discussion that requires each student to offer original thought. Therefore, asking students to discuss cognitive dissonance wouldn't be very appropriate use of the discussion board. It's too broad of a subject, and the first 3 students who respond will likely cover everything there is to cover on cognitive dissonance. On the other hand, if you ask a student to find and discuss a unique article that covers cognitive dissonance, making sure you do not select the same article as your peers, it may be too much work for you as the instructor, because you're going to have to read each of those digests. You're going to have to make yourself familiar with everything that the student is posting, and all of the other students will have to as well. It's a little bit of overkill. A better choice of cognitive dissonance might be to ask a question thus: consider a time when you experienced cognitive dissonance in your personal or your work life. Summarize the situation and then identify at least 3 things about the experience that, etc., etc. You get the idea. This would require that they know the concept, and it will cause them to relate to it in an experience in their past and articulate why they felt uncomfortable or unhappy in the incident, ideally in appropriate psychological terms. Some instructors like to post a new discussion topic each week. This helps keep students engaged in the online course. It helps, however, to have 2 due dates for the discussion. The first due date would be the original posting due date, for example, midweek, and then the second due date would be their peer response due date, for example, at the end of the week. Without an interim due date for the original student posting, many students will wait until the last minute to make their postings, and there'll be little peer-to-peer interaction throughout the week. Kind of defeats the purpose. Another practice you can follow is to allow 2 full weeks for the discussion topic. The original post is due 1 week after it's posted, and then the peer reviews are due the second week after it's posted. So to recap what we've covered, the best way to ensure an effective discussion board is to be clear about your expectations up front. It's important for the instructor to remain engaged and to respond to students' postings during the week. Even brief responses such as "nice analysis" can be very encouraging in the cyber classroom and reassures the student that the instructor is present. Finally, it helps to provide individual feedback to students when grading discussion board contributions, referring to specific points that they made in their postings. This helps them to correct their performance going forward, and also, once again, reassures them that the instructor is reading and engaged in the dialogue. Now let's look at how to create a discussion board and how to set up some of the settings.